Welcome back, folks. Well, we're back on our Olds 455. Got our push rods all set, got them all in there, got them pre-adjusted. We pre-lubed the engine, had oil pressure all the way across. Now let me tell you, I ordered a set of push rods with my push rod length checker initially, and got them. I ordered them from Bernard. Great push rods, but I was off. They were too long. I didn't like it. They were just, when I went to adjust everything, it was still putting the rocker just a little too long for adjustment with the adjusters. And it was just not right. So I went ahead and ordered another set of push rods, chrome moly, same dimension. The only reason I didn't order them for Bernard is I had them, basically I wanted them as soon as I could get them, and there was no wait time. And actually with Bernard, there's no wait, it's not that long to get them from him either. But I just went ahead and decided to make a decision, just order another set, and these are actually 200 thousandths shorter. I was off by 200 thousandths. Lesson learned. You know, I used that tape measure, and my friend Kevin Ruby, believe he was right. He said, Darren, those things you got an old tape measure and they can be off. Really should have been using a tape measure, to be honest with you. I need to get a long set of calipers that go 0 to 12 inch, I think, a 0 to 12 set of calipers. It's never been an issue for me before, but I have learned my lesson. I'm not going to use this anymore for something that really needs to be such a higher tolerance. So shame on me. No more am I going to use that. So again, thanks Kevin Ruby for pointing out I should listen to you on the tape measure. I always listen to you on everything else. I don't know why I didn't before, but shame on me. That cost me out of my pocket, not the customers. That was on me. So anyway, these are our chrome moly Manly push rods. They the overall length came out to be 9.050. And to Bernard's credit, he said a few things as well when I sent him that measurement. He thought, I'm not sure if you got that right. And he was correct. But the good thing is, at least I validated it with Bernard and Kevin. So that being said, we got these beautiful rocker arms all on. We've got great oil pressure just with the drill. Oil pressure coming out all of our rocker arms here from Bernard. But I ran into an interesting issue. We went to install, from what I understand, I believe Keith said I think this is an original style AC Delco pump, fuel pump. And it's got the extra barb there. I'm sure one of them's for return. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe a vent. A return back to the tank is probably what that is. But anyway, this pump is what the customer is going to have to use, because this is going to be going into a point style car, and everything's got to be as original as possible. It's really hard to do when you're trying to use roller rockers and still got to use the factory valve covers, but we're going to be able to get past that. But this is the first time I've ever run into this issue I want to share with everybody on an Oldsmobile. We're running a double roller timing chain. This is an 8 keyway timing chain. It is a nice one. And I've never had this happen before, but when I put the fuel pump in, when I went to go turn the engine over, it was catching. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So we stopped. First thing I thought, well, damn, did I miss it on the valve to piston clearance? I'm like, these disc pistons? And it's only got 530 or 540 thousandths of lift. I find that hard to believe. So I stopped. No, I didn't check it with the Play-Doh and doing the checks like I do with a more intensive style with a lot of lift style engine build. This is a very mild cam, and the pistons are dished for I believe a 9.8 to 1 compression ratio. So no, that's not an issue. We're a country mile away from hitting the pistons. But what we were hitting was the arm. I have never seen this happen before, but the arm was so close to the timing chain in here. I don't know if you can see inside. Maybe we need to get a light so you can see. So you see the timing chain in there. Well, this arm on the pump, it went right on. It went right on. I had no issues, but when I put it on, evidently it was hitting. It was just barely hitting on this arm right here. So instead of going to a pump that's going to take away from points and everything that he's going to be entering in this car, Bernard has suggested a different fuel pump, which I would have run in it, but it wouldn't have been a point style car. So we're running the AC Delco pump that the customer really requested he wanted. So basically all I did is just went in and massaged it with my 90-degree grinder, just enough. You can see right there. And to be honest with you, I don't believe this is going to create any issues at all as far as integrity. This arm is pretty damn stout. So, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and install this fuel pump. You guys let me know what you think. And we're going to go ahead and you see that the intake manifold is on, no gaskets or anything. We just wanted to see how well it fit after having these heads milled. I think they were 20 thousandths on one side and 30 on the other, so they're even now. They were off. I don't think that's really uncharacteristic of old 60s style machining. But now they're both the same, and they're the 76 or 77 cc chambers that we were looking for. So now we're gonna go ahead and install this pump, and I'm gonna turn the engine over and make sure I don't feel anything. And then we're going to move on with getting this big old heavy intake on there and sealed up. So here we go. Yeah, factory, there's a stud on Oldsmobiles. I believe it's at the bottom here. I don't have that stud. That's one of the things that makes Oldsmobiles so easy to put the pump on when it's in the car. Out of all the engines I've ever done, Oldsmobile's always been my favorite because they allow you to get that thing on there and set it straight and get your bolt started. I don't have that stud, but customers probably got one. And if it's a numbers type of point stop system, they're going to want to see that stud on there. All right, now I'm going to start turning it over. All right. No catching. Now let's go the other way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Much better. I ground probably a good, 150 thousandths off of that arm. So I think we're going to be good. Oldsmobile people, you guys tell me, have y'all seen that happen before? Not the expert. Bernard said it's not common, but it does happen that issue. He had given me a part number for another fuel pump that supposedly gets you around that issue. But I think he'd even said you can massage the arm, same thing. So that seems to be taken care of now. And I did it enough where I left room for expansion for heat and everything else. So pump actually feels like, yeah, feels good. I guess I want to do pump stuff. So now let's get this 500-pound intake back off, and let's get it ready to start sealing. Now you say, now what are you doing with the freaking engine hoist? I'm saving my back and I'm saving my fingers. When I deal with these old cast iron intakes, like Oldsmobiles, Ford FEs, I'm not going to break my back anymore, and I don't want any more hemorrhoid surgeries. So I'm going to go ahead and let the lift do the work for me. Let me tell you something else, a little trick I learned. And I'm sure you guys out in Oldsmobile land probably already know this, maybe Ford FE land. I've had to change the channel rail gaskets on these before and put a new intake gasket on Oldsmobiles in the car. And this is how I learned. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to do this the smart way. So you can do this in the car with the hood on and everything. Just pick this up enough to put your turkey pan and all that, if that's what you're using. This won't be using that, but You let this thing get up there, you put all your gaskets on, that it's set, and then you just creep up on it slowly, and it's easy to get your bolt started. So just a little tidbit of information, what makes it easy for me. I'm sure you guys already know that, or maybe y'all have better ways. It's just how I do it. We'll put our gasket on. Let me add something else. The customer is not going to use this intake manifold. We're just using this intake manifold to test. He has an original 1970 aluminum Oldsmobile intake manifold. The customer and I spoke about this, and he was going to ship it up here to me, but I told him, let's not do that, because that is a very, very expensive manifold, as you folks may know. I've already dealt with those before. The luck of taking a chance of that thing getting lost or busted through the carriers, I'm not going to mention their names, but all of them, they don't give a damn. And that thing could get dropped, it could get broken, the edges, I've seen it in shipping where they've been busted. So it's just not worth it. I don't want him losing that manifold. This is a very important car, a numbers car, and let's just not take a chance. And so the customer has elected, he said, Darren, just prime it, don't even paint it. Because if I paint it and then he goes to paint it, his intake manifold, it could be that it doesn't match like it should. And I totally get that. So he wants me using an epoxy primer. We're not going to prime this thing until we've already run the engine and we know that obviously all the mechanical integrity is good and that there are no leaks. So this is just going on, not for a final installation. It will be coming off, but anyway, just want everybody to know. So we're getting this thing prepped and getting ready to put those gaskets on. Before we go siliconing and setting things in for a final rest, let's go ahead and fit this thing first without any silicone and with the gaskets and see how well our bolt holes line up. So we're not fighting anything. I want to make sure this thing is all ready to go with that cast iron intake. So when we do get ready to put the gaskets on, we're going to gasket cinch them to the cylinder heads, let them stick, and of course put our silicone on the water jacket side of the intake manifold. And then we're going to let it down, and then we're going to use our RTV silicone on the end rails, because that's what the gaskets ask you to do. They don't come with end rail seals, and this thing is so close, it's going to be perfect. But let's get this thing test fit first. Looking at everything, we use our one set of gaskets. They're a little troublesome. Not really, though. These Edelbrock gaskets we got, everything lined up, and it sucked right down. I could probably use maybe a set that's just a little bit thicker than this. It's not going to matter. Actually, when he puts his new intake on, I'll give him this part number, and he can probably just get one set thicker than this when he goes to put his aluminum intake on. But to be honest with you, it just sucked right on. The other thing is I don't want to go higher than I have to, because I want to keep this as short as possible, because we're just going to use a bead of silicone here, and it makes it really easy. So let's go ahead and pop this thing off, and now we'll use our gasket cinch and get everything sealed up and ready to suck it back down. And then we'll get ready to maybe test fit our carburetor. Guys, why didn't y'all stop me? What a total dumbass. The big elephant in the room, and you guys have already been cussing and calling me a dumbass. Totally forgot. You know what we're talking about. On the Oldsmobile, it goes upside down. Excuse me. Dumbass. But good thing is, I just barely clearanced that arm, so it's good. Yeah, no wonder I never had problems with before. You know, I've been building, you go from one engine to another and you forget. The Oldsmobiles, the pumps go upside down, which works fantastic. And that's why you've got the little small thing on this one here. You've got it open. I don't think this one, yeah, this one's, yeah, maybe it's open on the bottom. What a dumbass, because that's why it has a stud, I think, on the top maybe. Yeah. So, dumbass mistake number one. Well, probably plenty of them, but next time would you please tell me? Like I said, there is supposed to be a stud. I think it's at the top. And that's why I don't know why I did this, but I did. So, if you want to see where I cleaned it up, you can't even hardly tell. Just a little bit right there. So, anywho, it's in good shape. But I'm a dumbass. So let me get this thing on. I'm going to try it with just using the bolt up top maybe. All right, now, after the dumbass mistake I made, excuse my French, it's on like it's supposed to be. Jeez. Here is his carburetor, and look how nice it is. He sent it out to a place in Dallas. I will get that name, but any of you Quadrajet guys, this guy, from what I understand, by Kevin, my friend Kevin, and the gentleman that owns this engine, this car, the guy, it's phenomenal on these Quadrajets. I believe he used to work for Rochester. I'll try to get his name. But look how pretty he anodized everything, how nice it looks. I mean, that is really nice. So another thing, you guys that put these Quadrajets down, I don't get it. These are fantastic carburetors for the street. Great carburetors when they're done, when they're tuned right for street. So yeah, all we got to do now is get the harmonic balancer on, get the pulleys on, and then I believe he's sending us a set of valve covers for these rocker arms. If not, I've got a set. I will have to just modify the baffles a little bit. No big deal. They're just barely touching. But yeah, this is where we're at on the Olds 455. Again, can't believe I did that. Just totally had a brain delay. But that's where we're at with the Olds 455. It is really coming along nice now. Had a few snafus, but yeah, this should be a really barn burner. So thanks everybody. Appreciate everybody watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope everybody has a good weekend.